We know of so many hymn writers who found hope in their hardships. Victory in Jesus was written by Eugene Bartlett after a paralyzing stroke. Day by Day was written by Lena Sandell after having witnessed her father's drowning right there in front of her. Horatio Spafford, It Is Well With My Soul. We all know the story that he lost his daughters on the sinking of the Ville de Har. But did you know that previous to that, he lost his son to pneumonia and his business to the Chicago fire? So, how do these people find hope in the face of such tragedy? Well, Annie Flint answered that question with her hymn, He Giveth More Grace. If anyone was a poster child for hardships, it was Annie Johnson Flint. Her mother died when she was only 3, giving birth to her sister. Her father, now a widower, moved the 2 children into the home of a widow who ended up paying more attention to her own kids than to his. So at the age of 5, Annie and her sister moved again into the home of the Flint family. And they had a big house. They loved God. They loved these kids. It was a good thing. Unfortunately, no sooner had the kids moved into the Flint's house than Mr. Johnson passed away. So here she was at 5 years old, an orphan. Despite the joy of living on a farm and having a big library of books, Annie faced another bigger trial in her life: her health. You see, she loved that farm, she loved the library, she loved the books, but as soon as she graduated school and started teaching, she was diagnosed with debilitating arthritis, which ended up putting her into a wheelchair for most of her adult life. And yet, somehow, she saw God's grace through it all. Her understanding of God's grace and her testimony of His goodness are astounding. Look at verse 1. There's the concept that as our burdens increase, His grace increases with us. There's always more of His grace than there is of our burdens. He gives more grace as the burdens grow greater. He sends more strength as our labors increase. To added afflictions, He adds His mercy. At the multiplied trials, He multiplies peace. He is always there to give extra as we need extra. In the second verse, Annie writes, when we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed, and the day's only half done, when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, and by the way, let me just say, hoarding is a word we use a lot more today than we used to, and it's defined as a mental disorder characterized by persistent difficulty in parting with possessions and engaging in excessive acquisition of items that are not needed or for which there is no room. How many of us acquire things in our lives that we don't really have room for? We take on things that are better left for others who are really better equipped to handle them. Yeah, when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving has only begun. Then there's the ultimate. Don't even begin to think that your problem is bigger than God's storehouse. Our God yearns. He aches to share His resources. Lean hard. Completely rest yourself on His available, everlasting arms. And He will hold up you and your burdens. You know, we like to think that we have control, but the truth is we don't. When it's us who's broken, He works best. There's so much to be said about this hymn. There's no need of ours that can exceed His grace. He always gives more. No limits, no measure, no boundaries. And Jesus are the infinite riches of God's grace. And He gives it and gives it and gives it again. Amen. And that's all I have for today. Please make your thoughts and comments known below. I really value reading them. And by the way, if you have a friend who might appreciate these, pass the word along. I can always be found on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all under the name Hymnology. That's 2 words with an IE on the end. God be with you till we meet again.